Hi, welcome back to Peter's plot. Well, I'm pleased to say after that long cold spring, we finally got the weather we want, and the veg plot has responded to the warmth and the sunshine with lots of fresh green growth. And these potatoes here are doing fabulously. They're, you know, I've been earthing them up, but they're still, you know, a good sort of 6 inches out of the ground. Behind me, garlic, that's about sort of 3 feet tall now. That's really coming along. Broad beans, pretty much the same, all good. But to sort of walk you around and tell you what I'm doing in different parts of the plot this week. Potatoes. Now, these need to be earthed up, and what that means is to pull the soil in from either side of the plants up, so you're creating a sort of pointy ridge that runs along the row. Now, the idea for doing that is, or the reason for doing that is to, one, protect your plants from the frost. I mean, it's not such an issue now with the sun, or the warmth anyway, because potatoes are tender, so the leaves will get burnt by the frost. So you sort of earth them up to protect the leaves. But the more important reason is to give you a bigger crop, because what happens is that seed potato that's probably about that far down now is going to be forced to send up an even longer shoots up to the surface of the soil, and that shoot is going to send out little potatoes on the way up. So if you heap them up, you get a bigger crop of potatoes. That's pretty much it on the potato front. Keeping them well watered, crucial, because, you know, potatoes have got very high water content. I've been watering the whole plot quite a lot, to be honest, because we have very free draining soil here, and it makes a massive difference to the rate of growth. Okay, let's have a look round. Here are the broad beans. So, like I say, these plants, you know, lots of height now, and you can see at the bottom where the little beans, or the little flowers, have turned into little pods about this long. Absolutely fantastic. Those are going to keep growing now till we end up with something about sort of 6 or 7 inches with 5 or so beans in each one. Brilliant. Now, the thing to look out for now is black fly. Now, this affects the tops of the plants, and they're little tiny flies which congregate around the sugary tip at the top of the plant. Now, normally this time of year I'd be affected, but right now not any in sight. They're a problem because they kind of congest the plant doesn't grow as well, it's not quite as healthy. But there's a very easy solution to this. All you do is you get the tip of the plant like this and just snap it off and take that off, and that sugary tip is what attracts the flies, and once it's gone, the flies won't bother the plant. What this also does is it means the plant puts more energy into the beans, so it's not trying to grow high, it's going to put energy into reproduction and producing you lots of tasty beans. Don't throw this away either though, because this is delicious. Right, lovely tender leaves with a fresh beany flavour, great in salads. Okay, let's carry on looking around. Now, salad leaves over here, as predicted, gone to seed, which means they sent up this little spike topped with pretty flowers in order to set seed and reproduce. That means it's putting less energy into the leaves, and what you find with a lot of salad leaves is that when the plants get to this stage, these become searingly hot. Now, this mustard leaf is not too bad, but it is certainly getting quite hot now. Not such a problem with the Mabuna and the Mizuna over there, because they tend to be less spicy anyway. So these are still, you know, entirely edible, and I'm going to keep harvesting those. And also the radishes over here. I mean, these are getting really quite chunky now. Look at that, beautiful. So I've got quite a few of those to go. Those are still absolutely perfect. So I do have kale and Swiss chard to go in this bed, but I'm going to hold off for a good couple of weeks. I'm going to basically strip these plants of leaves, eat lots of salads, and rip the whole lot out, and then kale and chard straight in there. So in this middle bed we've got carrots, beetroot and French beans. Now, the carrots haven't done quite as well as I'd have liked. I think it's probably due to lack of water, because, you know, those roots are in that very small, you know, narrow section at the top of the soil. If it dries out, really restricts growth. So I think probably watering's the issue there. Also, the sparrows have affected these, if you watched the earlier videos, because they love doing this little bath type thing in the sort of dusty soil, and they've scattered sections of seeds away. But it's not a big deal. I've still got lots of healthy looking plants coming through. It's just going to be a bit later than I would have liked. Beetroot looking good. I sowed when the sparrows ate some of the first ones I put in. I sowed some more seeds and I planted those in little Jiffy 7s. I've put them out now. They're still behind the initial plants that I put in, but they're certainly catching up. So I'm confident now, and I've got this netting over the top to keep those sparrows out, and the plants are looking really healthy. But you know, lots of water going in. What you see behind me now are these 2 wigwams which I've created for the beans. Climbing French beans in the middle, runner beans over here, and I've used hazel poles here, just sets of 8 poles tied at the top, and the reason for that is purely aesthetic. You can use bamboo canes, they're perfectly fine, but these just look nicer, and I've got a fairly abundant supply because where we test all our seed varieties for seed to plate, we've got a hedge around that area which we lay every few years, and as soon as you lay a hedge, the hedge sends up these lovely straight poles which we can then cut out and use around the place. They just look nice, but like I say, bamboo just as good. What I've done, I've planted 2 beans at the base of each pole. Only really need 1, but that's really just precaution because, as you see, there's a lot of lush foliage behind this area of the bed, and also a stone wall here, both of which are haven for snails. So as soon as we get a sort of a damp night, you know, a drizzly warm night, those are going to come out like an army into these beds, and will, you know, gobble down those beans in no time. So I've got 2 around each pole as precautionary measure, and I'm also making sure I'm putting some organically approved slug pellets around the plants as well, because we really don't want to lose them at this stage. I mean, it would be possible to sow some more, but you know, who wants to go to all that trouble? Okay, and last but not least, the garlic. So this stuff has been growing since the end of last year, and the plants are looking absolutely fantastic now. Probably not quite as thick in the stems as I would like, which suggests that the bulbs lower down aren't going to be that big right now, but I'm keeping the watering up, encouraging those bulbs to swell. What I'm going to do with these plants is I will start harvesting these quite soon, probably just 1 or 2, because it's lovely to enjoy garlic in the green, or wet garlic as it's called. So that's literally picking a plant when it's still green, it hasn't dried out like the stuff you get in the supermarket, and just eating the cloves that way. And you can sort of shave them on a mandolin, or just cut them thinly with a sharp knife. Absolutely delicious. It's a slightly sweeter, sort of milder flavour of garlic, which I think you probably really enjoy. Now, I'm going to be putting my courgettes in here. Now I've got the plants growing along, and here's one. So they're quite mature now. If I'm not going to harvest the garlic, you know, it's largely down to that cold spring. It's held up the stuff that's in the beds, which means the stuff that's going in to replace it is going to have to wait a little bit longer. But this courgette plant, you know, let's have a look. It's always a good idea to regularly check the root systems around your plants. Now that is not pot bound. That's when you get a sort of swirling mass of roots at the bottom here. That's not a good situation, because if that's what your roots look like, as soon as you put that plant in the ground, the roots won't spread out into the soil. They'll just keep spiraling around the plant. So that's fine. So I can leave that growing for the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, hopefully. I might have to put it in a bigger pot if I see signs of it getting pot bound, but just keeping it somewhere warm and bright. You can see little flowers starting to form here. That's fantastic. Yeah, these are all going to turn into courgettes. So we are a little bit held back, given the cold spring, but broadly speaking, things are looking absolutely fabulous. Almost forgot lettuce. Okay, lettuce, last but not least, looking absolutely fabulous. These guys are getting very well established now, even to the point I can start eating a few of these lovely leaves. The great thing about L'Oloroso is that you can pick round the plants. So as soon as the core is established, you can just pick the leaves from the outside of the plant, eat them, and the centre will carry on growing and producing more and more leaves. And so I've got, what, 14 plants here. Got countless salads available right in front of me here, just by doing that picking round method on a continuous basis. Absolutely lovely. So much better than shop bought. Well look, that's it for this week. Hopefully you got the gist of what's going on. Make sure you look at the plot plan. or drop me an email if you've got any other questions. But you know, broadly speaking, we're really getting full steam ahead now. We're looking, you know, July and August, September are going to be hugely abundant months, when this place is just going to be bursting with lovely fresh vegetables. Hope you enjoyed it. See you soon.